She called at 2:14 a.m., trembling before she spoke. A thin, breathless panic leaked through the line. "Who's living there now?" she whispered. No greeting, no apology, no soft attempt to pretend she hadn't detonated my life months ago. Just that question. I let silence answer her. It worked better than words ever did. "I drove by tonight," she continued, voice cracking. "The lights were on. Someone's moved in. Someone in your house." She said your, the way people say accident, something that should have been avoided. I looked at the ceiling, listened to her breathing quicken. I could almost hear gears turning in her head, trying to piece together a puzzle she never thought she'd have to confront again. "You replaced me." Her voice dropped to a fragile whisper. "Already?" I didn't respond. Her inhale stuttered. "Please, just tell me who she is." The irony almost made me smile. She had left to find herself, dropping divorce papers on the counter like a receipt she didn't care to keep. No warning, no conversations, no explanations. Just a script she'd memorized from whatever self-love influencer she'd been listening to. I remember staring at those papers, feeling nothing. Not anger, not sorrow, just an eerie clarity settling into my bones. Now, months later, she wanted answers. She wanted access to a life she abandoned. And all I gave her was silence. The truth had begun unraveling long before she walked out. Little fractures in her voice, sudden distance in her eyes, a softness that didn't belong to me anymore. But I ignored it. People in love make excuses. People betrayed learn to collect evidence. It started with her weekend solo retreats, then the longer showers with her phone propped on the counter, screen turned away. The new lingerie she never wore for me. The sudden push for independence, coated with philosophical nonsense about rebirth. I'd recognized the signs. Anyone would. But she wrapped hers in eloquent lies and staged authenticity, making suspicion feel like paranoia. The night before she left, she sat across from me at dinner, stirring her food without eating. She didn't meet my eyes, didn't speak, didn't breathe right. Something inside me shifted, a quiet click, a door opening to a darker room. I watched her fingers tremble around her fork, watched her blank too long, watched her swallow a truth she wasn't brave enough to say out loud. The next morning, she was gone. Divorce papers on the counter, a "find myself" text on my phone, a life she thought she could simply abandon like a half-read book. But betrayal doesn't evaporate. It resurfaces. It reorganizes itself into something sharper, quieter, more patient. And patience is something I learned well. I didn't chase, didn't argue, didn't beg for closure. Instead, I observed. The second crack came from a mutual friend who didn't mean to say anything. A slip, a tightening of their expression when her name came up. The third crack came from the phone records. I asked for nothing, but the phone company answered everything. Late-night calls, repeated numbers, locations that didn't match her stories. I never confronted her. I simply connected dots. I hired a quiet professional, someone who didn't ask questions, someone who delivered only facts. Within a week, I had everything: names, dates, movements, photos. A map of every place she'd been while claiming to be finding herself. The final confirmation came from what I didn't expect. The man she left for started avoiding her. Messages unanswered, plans canceled, interest fading once her novelty dissolved. She hadn't left to find herself. She'd left because she thought she was trading up. And the irony? She miscalculated the value of what she threw away. So I moved forward quietly, sold the house, packed efficiently, left no trace of hesitation. And then I moved someone else in. Not a lover, not a replacement, just someone unexpected. Someone who made her assumptions worthless. When she called again, earlier tonight, her voice carried something I hadn't heard before. fear of losing relevance. "I saw her," she whispered, "through the window. You didn't even wait." My silence tempted her into trembling confession. "Who is she? Tell me." So I did. "She's the realtor," I said calmly. "She's staging the house for the new owner." Silence. Then a strangled gasp. "You sold it?" "Yes." "But why? We didn't need it anymore." Her breath broke, a small pathetic sound. "I thought you'd still be there. I thought you'd wait." "Why would I?" I asked. The truth hit her harder than anything I could have orchestrated. She showed up an hour later, standing outside the house that no longer belonged to either of us. Rain soaked her hair. Her mascara bled into desperate streaks. "You moved on," she whispered. "No," I corrected. "I moved forward." Her eyes widened. She finally understood. My silence, my calm, my distance. She wasn't the center anymore. "You were supposed to care," she said, voice breaking. "I did," I replied, "until you stopped deserving it." Her lips trembled. "I made a mistake." "Yes," I said, "but not the one you think." She waited. I let the rain speak for me. "You assumed I'd stay where you left me." The truth shattered her. She kept staring at the house like it might pull her back into the life she abandoned. But doors don't reopen for people who walk out without looking back. She whispered, "What happens now?" "Nothing," I said. "You chose your path. I just stopped standing in it." Her tears didn't move me. Her regret didn't interest me. The woman I once loved existed only in memory, and even that was fading. I turned to leave. She reached for my arm. I stepped away. And in that moment I felt it, the quiet, brutal kiss of reclaiming myself. I didn't need revenge. The truth was enough. I walked away without looking back. Some things aren't worth revisiting. Some chapters end exactly where they should. And some people only realize what they lost when it's already owned by someone else.